The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 8 News Now or Nexstar Media Group.
So don't believe the attacks. Believe us when we say Ford has been one tough attorney general.
Tonight on Politics Now, from the past, why Aaron Ford's gubernatorial campaign ad upset local police unions. Plus,
I just want other people to not go through the things that Joey had to go through.
A demand for change. The family of a City of Las Vegas worker killed on the job asks for accountability. And what about our water? Southern Nevada water officials with some tough talk to protect our share of the Colorado River.
You're watching Politics Now with John Langler on 8 News Now.
Thank you for joining us. This week, the long criminal case over fake electors was thrown out of court, but the legal fight may not be over. State prosecutors accused 6 Nevada Republicans of submitting a bogus certificate in 2020. It falsely declared Donald Trump won our state in that presidential race. Joe Biden actually did win. Defendants include State Republican Party Chair Michael McDonald and former Clark County Party Chair Jesse Law. They faced charges of forgery and offering a false instrument for filing a record. Republicans said, though, it was just political theater. But this week, a Clark County judge dismissed the case, saying the AG's office did not prove those charges. The Attorney General plans to appeal. The math doesn't lie. Nevada does more with less Colorado River water. Earlier this month, though, you'll remember Lake Mead reached its lowest level ever. This week, local water officials held a water summit to outline the state of our precious resource. 8 News Now reporter James Schaefer was there.
It's the most litigated, legislated, and debated river in the world. Officials today discussing the Colorado River amid new but familiar concerns.
This is very sobering to look at.
Former Biden Administrator Mike Connor looking at this. Lower projected water elevations along the Colorado River, a problem he said is followed by concerns each state along it might start suing each other about who gets what.
Right now, we're closer to compact litigation than we've ever been.
But just what is being done to save this water? Nevada Congresswoman Susie Lee argued much is being done on Capitol Hill to combat the ongoing water crisis, but a part and parcel solution held back.
The Inflation Reduction Act included an additional $4 billion in funding specifically for water management and conservation. The Trump administration has the duty to faithfully execute these laws.
Their Inflation Reduction Act, by the way, was a disaster. It's what caused the inflation.
President Donald Trump not buying what Congress is selling, as $8.3 billion worth of investment in Western water infrastructure is tied up, according to Lee. But our question, does this mean Nevada will be taking the battle over water rights to court?
Our first, second, and third choice is negotiation and cooperation. But at the end of the day, if somebody wants to challenge something, we also have to protect our rights.
John Ensminger, general manager for the Southern Nevada Water Authority, said discussions have brought to light what exactly the upper basin states are seeking.
They believe the river should be divided 50-50. And right now, the lower basin is still using more than 50%.
Adding neighbors should continue to get rid of non-functional grass and spot wasteful water use as negotiations continue.
We're not just going to lose. If negotiations fail, we will protect the people of Nevada.
Now, in terms of policy and action, officials did say that the Colorado River Basin is in crisis, but Nevada is not. Reporting from the Springs Preserve, James Schaefer, 8 News Now.
Since 2002, Nevada's brought down water use by capita by 58%, that's per capita. Consumption dropped 40%. At the same time, Southern Nevada's population has nearly doubled. Republican congressional candidate Marty O'Donnell says he was disinvited from a 25th reunion for the video game Halo. O'Donnell, is a composer who wrote the popular game's music score. He says organizers of the Halo conference didn't feel comfortable with his political positions. O'Donnell's running against Democratic incumbent Susie Lee in Congressional District 3. A twist in the race for governor and in its escalating political ads. This week, Metro Police's union sent a cease and desist letter to the Aaron Forward for Governor campaign. And here's why.
So don't believe the attacks. Believe us when we say Ford has been one tough attorney general.
The ad features former police union leader Dave Callis. He says ads against Ford are lies. However, the lies he's referring to come from Ford's 2018 campaign for Attorney General. This year, the union's endorsing incumbent Republican Governor Joe Lombardo in his re-election effort. Here's current LVPPA Chief Steve Grammis.
The issue surrounds nothing more than Aaron Ford pushing out an ad that tried to fool you, the public, to tell you, I have law enforcement support. Well, I can tell you as I stand here, sure as my time here as your president of the PPA, and for the people that follow us all over our social media platforms, the LVPPA, the Public Safety Alliance of Nevada, all major law enforcement in this state overwhelmingly supports Governor Joe Lombardo for his re-election.
The Ford campaign did take the ad down and told 8 News Now Callis did sign a waiver in 2018, allowing them to use the video as they see fit. They went on to say that they do have the support of law enforcement as well, putting out an ad you're about to see here with former Metro Deputy Chief of Police Carlos Hank.
I spent over 20 years in law enforcement. Having seen both Attorney General Ford and Governor Lombardo in action, I'm proud to be supporting Attorney General Ford's campaign for governor. I've seen firsthand that Attorney General Ford is relentless in putting violent criminals behind bars.
At this point, most Nevada law enforcement organizations are backing Governor Lombardo's re-election, but some have not made an endorsement yet. A City of Las Vegas workplace feud ends in murder. Now the victim's family is planning to take legal action against City Hall. James Schaefer explains here that the search now is just for who to blame.
Records obtained by 8 News Now show a feud between two co-workers was reported to City Hall multiple times, and the city in turn was working to resolve it. However, an attorney today alleging it simply wasn't enough.
Okay, what's going on there?
One of our employees just shot another employee.
Las Vegas City maintenance employees stunned. Their workplace had turned crime scene. Police arresting Bryson Kim in connection to the shooting death of his co-worker, Joy McLean.
I know it got to HR because HR said that they had dealt with it.
Something fellow city employees who spoke with 8 News Now on the basis of anonymity allege was preventable.
I just want other people to not go through the things that Joey had to go through.
But now McLean's family, including his wife Monica, raising a similar complaint that the city knew and didn't do enough. Her co-counsel, Corinne Murphy, along with Ophelia Markarian Law Group, demanding a change in city policy.
This was a good, God-fearing man who followed every single step that the city told him to follow in order to say, I am in danger. And none of those steps work.
I was not aware. But we are, again, we're going to investigate it fully. There's not going to be any rock that remains unturned. There's no reason to hide this.
In the city's investigation, record showing steps were underway for a response to the months of complaints. McLean's lawyer not accepting that defense.
My understanding is that they were going to write Joey up the morning that he got murdered. And the fact that they say efforts were underway is meaningless when this has been going on for months and months and months.
Murphy clarifying no legal action had been filed yet, but steps were underway as the McLean family seeks more answers.
I will be here, and we will get the truth of what happened, and Joey did deserve the right to life, as does every other person.
Now, Matthew Meyer, the Deputy Director of Public Works who was across this incident, did announce his retirement. He is set to leave next month. Reporting from Las Vegas City Hall, James Schaefer, 8 News Now.
McLean family lawyers plan to establish an estate first and then file a lawsuit against the city of Las Vegas. For a closer look at the case, just go over to 8newsnow.com. Well, tonight, Paratransit services back to normal. This week, local Teamsters reached a new deal with Transdev. That's the company hired by RTC for this kind of operation. It all came just hours after workers started picketing when a contract deadline passed. Staff started pushing for a new deal back in December. The brief strike caused widespread delays in paratransit service all across the valley, but it should be back to normal now. Up in northern Nevada, the firefight is not letting up. 2 major wildfires are burning. Governor Joe Lombardo has declared a state of emergency. As of Friday, the Bug and the Fred Mountain fires have burned nearly 120,000 acres. Thousands of homes are threatened around Washoe County. The declaration allows the state to free up firefighting resources.
I'm not minimizing this at all because one life and one structure is as important as the rest of them. but we have time to bear the resources or put the resources to the issue.
The state of emergency up there ends on Monday. Officials believe the bug fire, the biggest one, is human caused. Next on Politics Now, improving health care. We'll talk with Republican Assemblywoman Rebecca Edgeworth on her re-election campaign. Plus, hard feelings why outgoing Congressman Mark Amodei isn't endorsing the Republican looking to replace him. We're back after this.
Welcome back to Politics Now.
Northern Nevada Republican Mark Amodei is leaving Congress, but he says he will not endorse the GOP candidate trying to replace him. Republican David Philippos running for that District 2 seat. He also ran for a Southern Nevada congressional district and lost. Amodei says Philippos a carpetbagger who just moved to rural Nevada to win his seat. The Democratic opponent in this contest is former Assemblywoman Teresa Benitez Thompson. Now to the state legislature. One of several key close races is for Assembly District 35. It's currently led by Republican Dr. Rebecca Edgeworth. Democrats think Culinary Union member Joe Spica can flip the seat. This week I spoke with Edgeworth about her priorities, and we focused on health care. One of your key focuses, because of your background as a physician, hospice care, AB 161. Tell me a little bit more about what that legislation did and maybe what else is still needed.
Right. I am the only practicing physician in the Assembly, so I definitely focused on health care. It was brought to my attention that because of a moratorium in California, a lot of people were pouring into Nevada and providing hospice care and not doing a very good job of it, to be honest. And people are skirting reporting laws and all kinds of things. So in Clark County, we went from having 70 hospices to over 280 hospices in just a few years. And it isn't my job to get rid of hospices, but I'm trying to keep them at a higher level, their practice at a higher level. A lot of them weren't providing the basic needs that hospice is supposed to provide. And
now there's a bit of a moratorium right now here too, correct?
That's right. Not legislative moratorium, but they aren't accepting new licenses, certainly not in Clark County. There's some rurals that still don't have hospices, so it's not statewide necessarily.
As a doctor, what is your concern, as a physician, your concern about this, the way hospice care is in Nevada right now? You mentioned this influx of companies and businesses starting up here. What is the concern to you, to the patient, to the families of how they're operating?
Yeah, hospice is very near and dear to my heart. I've had family members, a lot of us have, and why you would take advantage of people who are dying is, I can't even fathom the amount of evil that is involved in that. But people are using hospice as a revenue stream. They're trying to make money from providing hospice, and they're not really providing it. People are going to the emergency room. People are suffering and in pain and not getting the best care that they should. And if they don't have family members and friends to advocate for them, they don't know how to complain about it. They just get what they get. People are also being signed up for hospice when they didn't even know they were on hospice. So people are just making money off of the process.
Medicaid fraud and efforts to try and tackle that. That's become something of a political discussion as well with the governor's race. Yeah. What do you think was able to get accomplished in the previous session? What needs to be done? What isn't being tackled right now on a state level?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people knew kind of in the background that there was a fair amount of Medicaid fraud going on. But until it came to light nationally, I don't think it was put on the front burner. Before Minnesota and before all of that blew up, my bill was simply to require people to identify themselves legally in order to become a Medicaid provider. Before that, people were pretending to be a physician or pretending to be a therapist and then billing Medicaid, getting away with millions of dollars, and then they absconded and nobody could find them. So that's what my bill did, AB 315. But now it really is on the front burner. The governor's office, everybody is really working towards decreasing. All of this money is being stolen from me. It's my money that I've put into the state. It's money that could be going to people who actually need more help.
What are some of your priorities moving forward?
Yeah, we are number 48th in the country for number of physicians per capita. Nevada has a long way to go to have more. We're short on nurses. We're short on everything you can think of. I think the answer is training more people. I co-signed on Senator Pazina's bill about increasing graduate medical education, getting Nevada kids pipelined into healthcare instead of importing students and then they train here and then they leave and go back. I think that's a big part of it. And I think holding people accountable and transparent in what's happening in medical care is going to go a long way to people trusting the system.
We have that full interview at 8newsnow.com. Well, here are some other key legislative races that'll help decide the balance of power in Carson City. In Assembly District 21, Democratic incumbent Elaine Marzola faces a challenge from Patsy Carvalho. This is a district where Democrats have about a 2.5 point registration advantage. Marzola has a fundraising lead. In Assembly District 4, Republican incumbent Lisa Cole faces Democrat Eileen Eady. Eady unsuccessfully ran for a seat on the Clark County School Board back in 2024. Democrats also have about a 2.5 point advantage in this district. Democratic incumbent Melanie Scheibel has a slightly bigger registration advantage in her effort to hold on to State Senate District 9. The registration gap is 6%. Republican Maria Thompson is running against her. She's an attorney and a former news producer here in Las Vegas. Scheibel has about double the fundraising so far, but Thompson does have money to spend. Next on Politics Now, Birthright Battle, the latest legal effort against President Trump's executive order on citizenship. Plus, coming to the Silver State, we look at what pushed DoorDash to deliver jobs to Nevada.
You're watching Politics Now.
Another major tech company is moving its incorporation from Delaware to Nevada. This week, DoorDash announced in SEC filings it plans to move here. Nevada's become an attractive spot for companies like this. They're intrigued by the lower state level taxes, stronger protections for corporate officers. DoorDash's corporate headquarters, though, are still in San Francisco. In Washington, lawmakers are now in their August recess. They, though, did not address a key demand of President Donald Trump's before heading home. News Nation's Trevor Shirley takes a look.
Senators are back home now and in some cases fighting for their political futures as their focus now turns to the midterms in November.
The nomination is confirmed.
Saturday morning, senators confirmed Todd Blanche as Attorney General in a close 50-49 vote. All Democrats and even some Republican lawmakers voted against the nomination, but outgoing Republican Senator Bill Cassidy was the crucial last vote, making Blanche the next AG.
But the choice is not between perfection and Mr. Blanche. It is between Mr. Blanche and another acting Attorney General who may not run the department effectively under President Trump.
The Senate also passed two bipartisan measures. One, a short-term funding bill to keep the government open through mid-December, avoiding a government shutdown just ahead of the midterm elections.
Putting the possibility of yet another harmful shutdown off the table should be a priority.
The second, a sweeping Russia sanctions package that would penalize countries like India and China that continue to buy Russian oil and gas, funding Russia's war machine against Ukraine. The sanctions bill was championed by the late Senator Lindsey Graham.
Every barrel of oil that goes unsold, every dollar denied the Kremlin, makes it harder for Russia to finance its reign of terror.
But senators made no moves on President Donald Trump's Save America Act, a controversial election security bill critics say would make it harder for millions of Americans to vote. The president had wanted the Senate to skip their recess to pass the SAVE Act. House lawmakers return to Washington in 3 weeks. The Senate gets back in 5, but they're not expected to get much work done ahead of the midterms. Reporting in Washington, I'm Trevor Shirley for News Nation.
The president's second attempt to reel in birthright citizenship now faces an uphill battle. This week, the ACLU and others, including Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford, filed a court motion to demand explicit protections for all children born in the U.S. They argue it's in line with the Supreme Court's June ruling. The president's new order tries to eliminate birth tourism. The White House describes that as foreigners coming to the U.S. as tourists, but staying to give birth and get their child American citizenship.
keeps American citizenship sacred.
Don't see any real path for saying this executive order should stand.
The order also limits who would be eligible for birthright citizenship. Next on Politics Now, what's next for the old Tropicana site? We'll look at the new plans to build around the A's Stadium project.
Welcome back to Politics Now.
Next week, Clark County's Zoning Commission will discuss plans to build a hotel around the new A's baseball stadium. Developers want to add a 24-story, 1,800-room hotel tower. It would obviously have a casino as well, a theater. We've heard about this in the past. Now the plans are coming to fruition here. There are, though, some concerns the height could violate some FAA rules. Also on Wednesday, also at the Zoning Commission, Clark County will talk about an expansion of Roseman University. The school plans to build a new medical simulation building near Twain and Wallapai, and there students can train in a fully simulated hospital environment. It's the first part of a $500 million plan to expand the Summerlin location into a full medical school. Also next week, the Las Vegas City Council talks about new rules for Fremont Street performers. They're considering new fines and better guidelines for how performers register to operate at the Fremont Street Experience. Now, most of the performers do want these regulations to kind of weed out the bad actors. The city could also limit what performers do. For example, no sword fighting. This gets discussed next week in the meeting on Wednesday. These rules, no vote is expected, but it will be at least discussed. That'll do it for us this week here on Politics Now. Thank you very much for watching. For all political news, just go over to 8newsnow.com. We'll see you back here next week. Take care.